Okay, welcome everybody. This is Mark, Agent Awesome is, and we're here to bring to you the Greater Life for All project. And the purpose of our chat tonight and of our broadcast is basically to break down what we're trying to put together over here and go over our mission and also some simple things that people can do to get involved. Because ultimately speaking, we're all here together, and as we go along this journey, each of us seem to be, becoming more and more in tune with themselves and seem to be getting more and more aligned with their thoughts and getting more clarity with their vision. And, the main goal that I would like to see is I like to see people focus on gaining clarity on the vision and the purpose and implement their particular projects that are applicable to them. And what this whole entire project is about not worrying about the how-to, but you guys start doing. And the how-to is what this thing is all about. This is going to put together everything together, because when we're starting a business, I've been started one before, and I've been in this phase for a long time where I got stuck in the how-to, because how am I going to get traffic to my website? How am I going to build my website? What am I going to do? How am I going to, do email campaigns? How am I going to do my marketing? How am I going to do some, I found myself in analysis paralysis. I became totally paralyzed. And what this purpose is just for you as a person who wants to go out there and start something, to start something. And this basically is going to be something in which we all start things together, and we're going to be able to put one community together. So pretty much we're all doing everything, we'll be doing everything at the same time in the beginning. And obviously as this project advances, there'll be more and more people, coming at different stages. So basically, each of us has like a different skill set that we have. So let's say that your skill set is that you have a desire to make a meditation program. And okay, so you can go ahead and you can make the meditation program, but you want to get it out there. But you don't have any customers, you don't have a website, you don't have anything to bring it up. But your specialty is making meditation programs. So what we want you to do is focus on making meditation programs, because then there's someone else's area of expertise is making websites. And that person will be the person making websites for the community and also as their business. And the way that I see this is that as more and more people start getting involved in a project, we collaboratively work together to bring like our stuff out there and one centralized community. So what I'm trying to reference to is that if you have like part of life is like taking about creation is taking action, and it's really amazing to have like an idea and clarity and purpose and vision and execute. And what we want to do here is we want to make it easy for everybody. And the whole thing is that I posted on this website, and I don't want to put anything in these two statements, because I made a mistake with a friend of mine from work, and he kind of like took things the wrong way. So the first one is there's plenty of fill in a blank for all, and our aim is to provide more of fill in a blank for all. So there's plenty of opportunity for all. Our goal is to provide more opportunity for all. And we have different areas in which we could easily bring out there and just create our own community. And as the project progresses, what's going to start happening is that within my vision is that within the community, where each person is going to have their own individual website. It will be within the major website, which would be the Global Life Project, and then each person would have their own hyperlink within the site, which take them to a microsite. So it'll be part of the site, but it'll take you into your own particular section, in which you can have your own graphics, your own, whatever it is that you want to have. It's going to be yours, and all the traffic that we'll be getting from the internet, from all of our sources, is going to bring us to one separate website. We're all going to work together and collaborate amongst each other and exchange our resources. Because when I go online, I'm searching for something, and I want to, find a coach or a meditation thing or something like that. There's a lot of different options to go to and stuff like that. But if we provide a one-stop shop where there's mental health coaching, which you already have a community set up for that. There's book writing class, but the whole entire aim is that for a user to go to the website and to stay there and to keep on, just to stay there, because the biggest thing is that we want people to go to the site, to stay there, and then to explore different communities, and then communicate with other people as well. So we're going to have chat functions and a forum function as well, and I just want to keep things really basic. So basically what we're going to do is that this is going to be an opportunity in which everybody right now can focus on creating an aspect of what the particular talent or vision is, and just worry about doing that. Because, like I said, a lot of us, we're like, I got a great idea. I want to read hands. But how do I get people to read whose hands are going to read in virtual and on the internet? I'm going to be bringing people to my website. And what happens is that you get yourself stuck. But this is a way to alleviate that. Everything will take care of itself, because each person is going to have a different area in which they're going to specialize in and bring things together. And I really firmly have a lot of faith in that this project can work. And each person, as their own entity, would pretty much charge, as a whatever type of method they choose to implement. And so you become your own, you drive your own income. Now, in terms of providing more opportunity for all, because there's still a lot of people out there that have no exposure to this program or other programs, and that probably that have an idea. And the other component is that as everybody starts making and earning money or whatever, the portal, because the portal has to survive as well. So the portal is going to collect, well, not collect, it's going to be a donation of 10% of the earnings. But what's going to happen is that the portal is going to go out and fund new enterprises, like people that are looking for funding for their companies. Because I know that my brother started a company with a friend of his, and they have investors, and the investors hold a stake in the company, and they get paid. The owners of the company, the investors become the board, and they're the ones that are pretty much paying the salary and dictating things. So they pretty much have a majority controlling stake in the company. Like a classic example that I could think of is Apple. Steve Jobs got fired from his own job, and because the board held the company. And what I'm saying is that we're going to provide alternative forms of funding that people don't have to worry about losing control of the company. It's going to be their organization. And we're going to charge a small amount of interest, and that money gets paid back to the portal, and each entity that's involved is going to get a reciprocal amount of, their investment back. So you'll be making money twofold. And that's going to provide, more for all. And, there's a lot of things, obviously, as we go on that people have a lot of questions about, and we're here to answer questions. I want to turn the floor over to Brian Sykes, who actually I feel like, I got this download a few weeks ago, but I feel like this is the guy that had the idea. And he pretty much is involved in a lot of things that, that are out there right now, and he's on the cutting edge, and he's in it. And the reason why I'm really excited about this opportunity, because we have somebody that's already doing it, and that's passionate about it, and that knows how to make this work. And he's networked with people that are very major players, very major people that are in the field. He knows who they are, and he knows what these people are doing. He has a lot of value and knowledge that we all can benefit from. That's why I'm so excited that, in all these success literatures that I've read, all you need to do is to have a great idea, believe in it, and take the first step. And the universe is going to put the people in place that are going to do the rest for you. And this is what's happening. It's going to happen to everybody once you take that first step. And, for those of us in the Regional Wealth Program, the chapter is right now about taking that first step. And this is taking that first step. For some of us, it's going to be listening, observing, but just taking the first step. So I want to turn it over to Brian. So Brian, you're live.
I'm alive, or I'm live. Well, great. Well, thank you, Mark, for setting the foundation for this. And I want to explain the business model a little bit more about what I was thinking, what I've been seeing as far as trends and patterns that we can develop. Because really, what I'm thinking is we've already been doing exactly what we need to do. We just need to now bring it forward into the competitive plane, but play the game from a creative plane. So in other words, the whole idea of having an open source, a non-hierarchical community is exactly what we want to duplicate. The questions that came to my mind as we were considering the components of this is I wrote down a statement that one who achieves prosperity at once becomes an influence for abundance in the world. Literally. And if you think about it, if I were to ask the question, what's the number one thing in the world that everyone wants, and they're willing to pay a premium for that? And people say, well, they want a better life, they want a better career, they want all these things, and those things are true, but the real essence of that is people want more. They want more out of life, they want more success, they want more happiness, more money, more passion, more energy. So when I begin to put this puzzle together, I said this word more, Wattles has been talking about in the book, and he coined the term greater. Greater life for all. We have the opportunity of taking exactly what you're doing now, create an open source, non-hierarchical community. Is what in the investment world we call it a regenerative community. Regenerative just simply means developing over time, a continuous process of becoming. So we want something that's duplicatable, something that evolves over time. The vision that I was seeing, I literally had the vision where I imagined them introducing this Greater Life for All community, and you have the sausage machine. And the questions that I asked was, what happens when you take a community of like-minded architects and you see these, like, the animated cartoon where you're speaking and the guy is drawing the pictures at the same time. So he's putting in people, and then the machine is getting fat. As I said, you take community of like-minded architects who are passionate about making a world of difference. You combine that with distributed knowledge network, which we're all doing now. We're all downloading information for everyone to see. You put in a crowdsourced platform where we have the makings of that. You're using technological advanced infrastructure. We're using WhatsApp and Google Plus community, so we're doing that. You have intersecting disciplines and ideas. We're doing that. There's a lot of collaboration. Um, and then I put in business incubation, where we're helping people to become, to start businesses or to think about starting businesses and helping them to incubate the ideas to get those things started. Then I put in incentivize innovation and incentivize philanthropy or philanthropic deeds, charities. And then I said, what would it look like to put in regenerative, people-centered economic model? So now this sausage machine is real fat, and now on the other end, what comes out is this greater life for all. I see that term as both a brand itself, but also the promise of the potential of a future that shows what happens when collective people come together and create businesses, create projects, create products and services on a creative plane. So the vision really is almost it is twofold, two sides of the coin there. Number one, Greater Life for All serves as a social movement. Greater Life for All is the message. It is the end product that we're trying to do. That's why a regenerative, people-centered economic motto prospers people first. It's always people first. People first, productivity second, profit last. It's the specific order of the natural laws of value creation. Always put people first. Our communities already do that. But then as I thought about it, I said this Greater Life for All in and of itself can be its own brand. It has a market-based potential. So I can see Greater Life for All apps. If you think about technology and we take advantage of that, I can see Greater Life for All iTunes podcasts, Greater Life for All ebook series, Greater Life for All live immersion and events, master classes, and the list goes on. These things all can create income. They all can create some kind of recurring revenue to sustain the community. Not everyone is going to be able to give 10%, and if we're going to keep it non-hierarchical, we have to keep a low barrier to entry. But on a creative plane and a give and receiving model, everyone has something to give. So people might be mentors, you can be an advisor, you can be a consultant. For those who want to start business, depending on how much invested assets the Greater Life for All community receive, the business incubation side of things and the resources, the collective resources and talents of the group can help people start businesses. And that's where the idea of this like incentivized philanthropy. I'll give you an example of these so that you know I'm not just trying to promote fluff and motivation just for motivation's sake. These are things that I actually use. An example of incentivized philanthropy is something that you can use currently right now for any architect that want to get your information out there real quickly and you're new in the community. You can use incentivized philanthropy And it's simply you approach a nonprofit or a non-governmental organization and you create a training program or a speaking uh, program for their constituencies. You do it for free. They don't pay you, they pay the organization. So, in other words, they're giving a donation to that organization. I call it a day of learning. Every time I did that, I often got called back. And so then we create an actual course that's ongoing for that specific community. And every time someone sign up for the course, we give 10% to the non-charitable to the charitable organization. That's an incentivized philanthropic model. Incentivized innovation. Consider if like this mental health group that we have, and we have some recurring assets, investable assets, in a Greater Life for All community, and they want to create a model, a mental health model that can help solve some issue uh, or some crises within the industry. We can create a competition. It can be a $5,000 competition for one who come up with the best model. $10,000 depends on how many people are involved, or depends on the level of funding that's available for it. These kind of things go on all the time right now. If any of you ever read Dr. Peter Diamandis' Abundance book, he has an X Prize Foundation, and this is exactly what they do at the X Prize Foundation. Is they use incentivized innovation. This is how the private space flight came to fruition. It was a $10 million competition for the team who can secure and come up with the best private space flight. So my point is, these things are already available as resources. These things are already things that we're already doing. All we need to do now is extend it out. That's why I see the Greater Life for All specifically as both a social movement, but then as a brand itself. Now, if you consider there's four predictive patterns of any social movement. Number one, it forms around a common goal. Our common goal would be Greater Life for All. Number two, the community mobilizes resources. So we're talking about resources with regards to talent, resources with regards to intellectual capital, human capital, and I can go on down that list. And the purpose is for creating Greater Life for All. The community finds solutions. We're not trying to fix what's wrong. There's a subtle difference. We're trying to find solutions for what doesn't exist. And that's operating on a creative plane. And what tends to happen is, number four, the movement is either accepted by, or it actually replaces the establishment. So this is our way that we can literally usher in a new world vision of what it looks like to live abundantly, what it looks like to have happy, healthier lives, literally. So we have the stages set. We just need to build a model and start filling the model. And from there, we can really begin to, when we build the model the way we want it to, then you can invite strategic alliances and partnerships. There's all different kinds of business strategies and things that we can utilize to do that. But I get excited because I think that we're in such a time now where there's a significant age of discovery. If you think about it, never before has this really existed. And if you understand history, between, I think it was 1775 to 1900, man's total body of knowledge doubled. So that took 125 years. Then it doubled again between 1900 and 1950. Then it doubled again between 1950 and 1958. So that's 8 years. In today's time, the total body of knowledge doubles every year and a half. So we're literally moving that fast. So think about it. People want more happiness, more energy, more money, more productivity, but they have less attention to deal with any of these things. So we have a unique opportunity to create an actual brand and a promise that comes with that message and help people resolve all of these issues so that they too can experience the happy, healthier, and a smarter, we can shape a smarter and sustainable world. Pretty exciting time.
I just would like to say that this is pretty darn amazing, and I'm very, I don't know, I'm ready to go. I'm seriously ready to get started, and my excitement level is very high right now. And Tom, would like to add anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Although there is very little to really concretely add, because you guys have summed it up so well. Mark, you've come up with the energy and the enthusiasm, and Brian, you've come up with just a clarity of vision that people will be going, yes, they'll be watching this, nodding their heads around the world, because they'll be going, well, this is exactly awesome, exactly everything. And you know, I almost feel like I was listening to myself, but kind of a version of myself that was just much smarter.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is exactly what I couldn't have possibly hoped when initially when Sam and I were thinking about the sorts of things that we'd like to do. We figured that we would be able to attract some people into our lives that would, as Wallace Wattles says, you know, and you said it early on, Mark, once you have your vision, the universe will bring to you the people that it will be for their benefit too, and you won't have had to work at it, you won't have had to do anything for it. As long as you just create the vision, these people will just appear, and it's certainly happening for all of us, isn't it? It's just very exciting. But there is lots of really concrete steps that we can do, which is great. As you said, Mark, everyone can work on the actual value proposition that they are going to be bringing to the table with their unique talents. And just one final thing. I was on the plane up to where I'm doing some consulting this week. I was reading about one of the best known restaurants in the world, which is called El Bulli, which closed in 2011 because it had been so successful. It had waiting lists for like 2 years and all this sort of stuff. It was in Barcelona in the north of Spain. And what I've realized is that they were kind of doing exactly this model in a way. You look at the world's 50 best restaurants or any survey now, and you look in the top 10 of these restaurants, and nearly all of them, well, maybe not quite all of them, but most of them had done a term as an internship where they worked for absolutely nothing. They worked for free for this single restaurant over, say, 5 or 10 years ago, and they worked for a year or a year and a half or 6 months as interns because they learnt so much about that, that their apprenticeship kind of was so valuable, that they then took that and did some amazing things in their own life with it. And I suppose I was thinking, you know what, this kind of everybody working in a way for a greater good, it's been evident so many times, but just not been coordinated. You know, this idea that Brian is now just the way he's orchestrated how this could come together is really exciting, because the business model on the creative plane, and I think that restaurant businesses are on the creative plane to a certain extent, because they are creating stuff out of nothing which hasn't existed before, and the really, really, really good ones tend to be producing something which hasn't existed before. But as Brian was saying, this type of model exists already. It's just that it isn't as coordinated. It's not really on the creative plane totally. And so that's the opportunity. And I think that the acceleration factor, we're at the stage now where the acceleration could be so rapid that literally in a year's time we'll be looking around and thinking, what the hell did we do, people? Because already we've seen in the communities that we've started on the Reasonable program, it's just like already the results have been astonishing. So get a bit more of a systematic view about how that next phase can happen for everybody. And more life, greater life to all is not just, it's not just a vision, it's an action.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Sam, would you like to add anything?
Man, I'm not really sure what I could add over here, but man, you guys got me chest bumping the wall over here. That was pretty amazing, man. Oh my gosh, Brian, what you mentioned, or your entire soliloquy is just amazing. I want to get that and just send it over to whatever archiving, Library of Congress, whatever the world version of that is, because that was pretty inspiring, man. And I really like what you said. For me, it's about being on the creative plane, and every single person has something unique to offer on the creative plane. That is that's unlike anything that's ever been done before, because the competitive plane is really just the only sandbox a lot of people knew. And when you're a fish, you don't know you're in water. So coming from that perspective, it doesn't matter what kind of skill set that you think you have or think you don't have. There's something you can do, and so that's really exciting. And I think that's really the regenerative nature of the business, which is really exciting to be a part of. Man, it's just amazing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things why I was looking at social movements as a base model, because as they're not based on policy, they're based on the vision, they're based on the frames and the values rather than policy. And I
Right.
went back to a book that I was reading a long time ago, and according to this book, a husband and wife team, one's a sociologist and one is a psychologist, there are at least 50 million people waiting for us. They're called the cultural creatives. And the cultural is subtitled How 50 Million People Are Changing the World. And cultural creatives, they coined that term because they said innovation by innovation, they're shaping a new kind of culture for the 21st century. And what they describe in there is a new view, a new idea of culture as a large repertoire of solutions for problems and passions that people consider important in each time period. So, they say these are the people that's, creating many kind of surprising cultural solutions required for the time ahead. So they're not just concerned for what's going on now, they're concerned about what is it that we're doing that's producing even for the generations to follow. That's a unique thing. So when you talk about regenerative business model, we need people in their positions. So in other words, we need people in their unique talent and fully actualizes if possible, or at least taking on that responsibility that you need not be perfect. And in this kind of model, even for people who don't have 10%, you can mentor. You can be an advisor. You can be a consultant. So everyone has some part, because we need the community to function like a well-oiled ecosystem where the resources from intellectual capital, financial capital, social capital, all of these things recycle themselves. There are actually communities, like land-based communities in New York, Pennsylvania, all over the place right now in the States that are designed based on these regenerative models. So this is not a far-off vision at all. We're simply just taking, the technology and these things to use to help us spread this message of what Greater Life for All will look like. What does that mean? What does this collective, collaborative community look like? What is the purpose? I see bringing Greater Life for All to the investment industry. I function with a lot of impact investors. They're all about return on investments and creating social good. We don't necessarily have measurements because it's focused on a competitive plane, so we're not actually measuring this social good to the extent that we can. So when I see Greater Life for All, I say, okay, we can create behavioral algorithms. This is how we can now, therefore, expand 13 by 4 and our unique models in the competitive plane, but do it from a creative plane perspective. So now we go out and infiltrate, and we can bring those people back. Because I got to tell you, when we start to do this thing and it comes to fruition the way it needs to be, people are going to show up and they're going to want strategic alliances. They're going to want to join in. A couple of organizations that I was targeting are organizations for social entrepreneurships. And I said, you know, we have a lot of architects in our community now, like Steve, and his profile says he's social entrepreneur. We can bring in some kind of partnership with organizations like Ashoka and Echoing and Green. These organizations award people who come up with creative models, business models, to solve some kind of social crises, environmental crises. You're awarded a $500,000 grant to get your business started. You become a fellow. So this is one of the these organizations are the ones that I was targeting for the Valuepreneur project, because these are people who I want to interview for that project. So these things are not far off. We're already doing them. Now it's time to amplify them. And now it's time to take them to another level. We're doing them in our private community. And now it's time to let the light shine, so to speak, so that people can see that abundance. And then we can be that example of what Greater Life for All is. And it doesn't take a whole lot to do it. Just simply build a model, start creating some of these partnerships now. Every time I go to my About Me page, there's a list there that says, I'm an impact investor, I'm an entrepreneur, and they always send me emails of people who share like-minded key terms and who share the same kind of interests. And often I get emails from people all the time saying, hey, would you like to collaborate? That's one of the prompts and on About Me page. So when we start to create a community where people can come together, create a profile, and people can see what they're doing, and we aggregate information about what we're seeing in a competitive plane, where the gaps are that we can fill with solutions, that creates opportunity for intersecting disciplines so that we can really expand this out. I can see doing work with Richard. I can see doing work with the young guy Blake, who wanted to do work with youth. I can see those two, us collaborating, doing some things together to help the investment and to help investors and entrepreneurs with their mental health, or to create a youth entrepreneurship leader program. So those are those kind of intersecting ideas and things that we can do on a creative plane, and create our own model so that people can see what this Greater Life for All can look like. Oftentimes what you find in competitive arena is people get together when there's a crisis, and we're trying to shift that.
Nice.
Yeah, lovely.
That is awesome, I must say. You see, this is an opportunity for everyone to get involved. It's not just a few, it's everyone. And like it is, it's Greater Life for All, and we're all here together to support each other, to use what we have, our resources, ourselves, our talents. And I think that, Brian really did a great job of explaining everything. And it's very easy to start doubting and disbelieving and letting whatever it is, the script, take over, but we're all doing this together. Well, if we all have faith and we all just believe, it's going to happen, and it's going to be the most amazing thing. So everybody can get started, everybody can get involved, and my suggestion is just start creating something. If you need help with something, let me know. If you need ideas, let me know. I gladly will work with you, and help you out. I guess some next steps that we'll be doing is, we'll obviously post this, and I forgot to put up the Q&A thing, so you could ask questions, post comments, but the main thing is to get involved, and whatever way that you choose to, just start getting involved, because this definitely is really, I think that this is something that we will remember, and generations to come will remember. And we're the pioneers of something that can be really something awesome and something amazing. So, anybody have any closing words to say before we sign off?
My question would be to everyone that I'm assuming, Brian, you're working on a manifesto that people could read, and presumably we will be putting together something which people can actually go through, so they can, understand in a in in a form that they can digest perhaps a little more easily, like some documentation, just to explain it. Is there anything else that would be useful for people right away?
Brian?
I'm putting together a kind of like a manifesto slash living creed, and it's basically statements that explain what the Greater Life for All community looks like, the kind of frames, if you will, the language, the behaviors, if you will, kind of like the behavioral algorithm, so to speak,
Yeah.
so that people can understand that. And then I think the next step, I don't know if I'm the best person to do that, because I kind of think, I wouldn't say complex, but I think in trends and patterns and that thing. But we would need to put together a basic model, as you said, that's mentally digestible for people. I'm too much of the creative art person for people to get what I say. I have a difficult enough time communicating, so I don't know if I'm the best person to work, and I'd be glad to work with someone to help put that together.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Brian, why don't you do that manifesto, and then send that around, and we'll obviously be on the WhatsApp groups and the project management group that we set up. But I just want to say, guys, this is just awesome, and this is exactly everything that we've been brought together for a reason. I totally believe it, and this is so exciting, and but also not just exciting in a vague, fluffy, cloudy, angels dancing on the head of a pin way. It's in a very, very concrete. I can already see how easily it can all work, and more than that, if you can explain something to a 6-year-old, then you can then you probably understand it really well. Einstein kind of said that. But also, if you can explain a concept like this to a 6-year-old, and they get it, and they immediately see, and it doesn't need any difficult mathematics to sort of show how it works, and it doesn't need any legalese speak to sort of explain how it works. I think you're onto something, and I think then, Brian and I were talking the other week and said that if you can put together like the principles in the same way that the laws of physics has eternal principles, the laws of physics, the same laws of physics that gave rise to this iPhone that I'm talking to, also gave rise to me and an ant and a star. It's the same laws of physics, but it can manifest itself in so many different ways. The laws of physics themselves are really very straightforward, and if we can, as Brian was saying, if you can sort of have the laws, the eternal principles of the Greater Life for All community, it can give rise to so many different things, but just the basic principles will be kind of always the same. And I think that's why I'm exciting, because it's anyone comes to us with an idea, provided it fits in with these basic principles, yeah, of course, that'll work, absolutely, let's do it.
Yeah, and it's definitely not fluff, because as I say, these things exist right now. I'm in a lot of these kinds of communities for investors, and we all buy and sell and businesses and get involved in different projects. The challenge is many of these sites are no, number one, they're not non-hierarchical. But number two, they're very self-centered almost. They bring people together, but it doesn't do so on the creative plane. So you can automatically tell and feel the difference there. on how people show up and what they bring to the table or what they expect to get out of you.
Yeah.
I had to have a lot of those conversations a lot of times where I thought the business was going to go as planned or the investment partnership was going to go as planned, and it did not. It gets awkward, but I have to have those kinds of conversations all the time and make sure people understand what my boundaries are, and I never have a problem with explaining that, particularly when it comes to my sanity. So, but the idea of creating a place, a deliberate space where everyone can come and just be, that really excites me. You can just come and be who you uniquely are and just show up. And I
Yeah.
think there's always going to be an arena waiting for people who will honor that heroic stand, if you will.
So cool. Okay, great. Mark, back to you.
Okay, so basically the doors are always in the open because this is going to be an ongoing project forever. So if you listen to this recording now or a month from now or a year from now or whatever time it is from now, nothing's going to change. Everything will be there, and I'll probably be posting up a sort of like a small application, on the Google Plus page for people that want to, get started. Like a little, a few questions to try and hone in on yourself in the next couple of days. So this is, we're closing the first broadcast of the Greater Life for All project, and we're signing off. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Night, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks.